Do you feel good enough? What is the best version of yourself? And how can you get there? Hello again. My name is Nicoleta Porojano, and today I'm going to teach you find the best version of yourself. I chose to talk about this topic because many of my clients and many of the people around me struggle with this idea of the best version of themselves. They struggle to be who they imagine they should be. And to be honest, I've been myself through many, many times of confusion, lack of direction. I felt inadequate. I felt insufficient. I felt not good enough by comparison. So it does happen to all of us. It's a problem that we all somehow share. So let's just explore together what is the best version of oneself and how can that person reach it? How can that person get there? I feel that in a way we need to start with understanding this concept, the best version of oneself. Because if we look back in the history, our ancestors, the prehistoric humans, they wouldn't think of becoming the best version of themselves that day when they went out hunting for food, coming back with, with the animals on their backs and their hands full of blood. There was no interest in being the best version of themselves. They just wanted to survive. And if we come closer in the history of humanity, like 10, 12,000 years ago, people, when they settled and they started doing agriculture, they didn't wake up in the morning thinking, will I be the best version of myself today? They were just preoccupied with harvesting the land and just enjoying the fruits of the earth. And that happened closer to us, like 2000 years ago, or even to the Middle Ages, when people were not really looking inside, but they were just looking out there in the world, discovering the cosmos. Think of Copernicus, just developing the astrology and starting that scientific revolution. Think of Galileo Galilei improving the telescope and just searching for the best version of the universe. No one was looking within. And that continued until very recently, in fact. Probably around 7 decades ago, when the humanistic psychology planted these ideas in our minds that we are individuals, we are actually people. There is a person inside of us, which is of a unique nature, and we have hidden potential, and we should strive to fulfill that potential. So, in a way, that has inspired somehow over the past maybe half a century, 50 years, this what we call now the empowerment culture, which started with Jim Rohn and Tony Robbins, all of the others that follow them, focusing on becoming the best version of yourself. Only that it comes with some pluses and some minuses. I think the positive side is that we can all now feel that encouragement to look within and trust ourselves and search for those talents and gifts that we have and share them with the world. But the negative side is that this empowerment sort of culture developed around the business arena, around the social persona, around our profession, our social status, the financial potential that everyone had. It wasn't really focused inside into the real self. It was more preoccupied with our social persona. Who do we present to the world? And that's really brought a lot of comparison. This empowerment culture fed really nicely the performance culture and the competition, which are so ingrained in our minds that nowadays all of us seem to be competing even with our siblings, with our best friends. And that's not good, because if you always keep your eyes on the external world, it will be almost impossible to not see someone doing a little bit better than you in any aspect of life. And that brings, obviously, disappointment, that brings a lot of suffering and pain. And when you live with that feeling of of not being good enough, you easily fall into depression, into anxiety, into what's going to happen next, into all sorts of behaviors that are helping you to maybe numb your feelings, maybe silence a little bit this mind, which is self-persecutory, which is always talking to you in a very negative way. And that's the downside of it. This is where I think we should all reframe what the best version of ourselves is. So allow me to share just for a few seconds the insights that I have captured throughout my 2 decades in the world of psychology and psychotherapy. I would say that the best version of yourself, in my humble view, is your real self, your authentic self. It's that part of you that is never changing. It doesn't matter how much makeup you put on your face, if you are a lady or even a male. It doesn't even matter. Maybe that makes you feel a little bit more confident when you go out in the world, if you dress yourself nicely, if you maybe present yourself in a way that is, you think, more digestible. But the best version of yourself is your real self. That is pure, it's authentic, doesn't have to fake life, doesn't have to pretend. It's just coming out exactly as it is. And if you do that, if you manage to get your real self closer to your social persona, to narrow this gap, which is sometimes so dangerous. When you are feeling inside somehow, you are thinking and experiencing life in a way, but then what you're presenting to the world is completely different. That's when you're not aligned. That's when you can't be the best version of yourself. It doesn't matter what titles you've accumulated, how much money you have, how is the status of your bank account, what kind of house you live in, what kind of tools and objects and things you have around, what kind of partner, kids, family, cars, whatever. Everything is pointless because you are not aligned. You are not living in harmony. You are not in homeostasis, in yoga, in equilibrium, whatever you want to call it, because you're far away from who you really are. You're presenting the world someone that is not you. So that can't be the best version of yourself. And I'm going to give you 3 tips to get closer to the best version of yourself. Turn your lenses within. 1, I'd like you to hold yourself in high regard. Respect yourself. Don't listen to what other people have told you. That's happened to a previous version of yourself. You just allow this version that is unfolding in this life right now to feel respect for your body, mind, and soul, and that social persona, which should be aligned with all of the other parts of yourself. Second, I'd like you to reconnect with your sense of confidence. You have confidence in you. You have dormant resources of confidence. I'd like you to allow them to guide you in life. Forget about what other people said to you, what they did to you. It's not important. Don't let them define your life. Be confident just because you are a confident person. And third, I'd like you to get in touch with that sense of self-worth, with your sense of value, with your sense of importance and significance in this world. Because you are indeed an extraordinary, very unique human being. There's no one like you. We can agree on that. So, you are worthy. Again, stop thinking how your parents made you feel, your teachers, your kids in the school, the peers, if they bullied you, if they did you right or wrong. That's irrelevant. That's happened then, in that past, to that previous version of yourself. Now you have the opportunity to be a better version. Okay? Stop thinking of that. Just stop it. Don't allow it to, come often in your mental activity, in your mental space, because that's not doing you any good. Take it into your therapy 1 hour a week. Take another hour to do your self-inquiry. Fine. But not more than that, because that's killing you. You can't think of your past experiences all the time. You are not your life experiences. You are this wonderful human being that is willing to become the best version. And now, because I've given you a few tips, I'm going to tell you how can you trick your tunnel mind, which is that mind that you obviously developed as you went through life. That's the mind that has been downloaded in your brain because you were born with no mind whatsoever. Everything has been wired after you were born. And when those neurons connected with one another, they created alleys of experience, alleys of knowledge. And on those little streets, you tend to go back all the time, in that darkness, in those tunnels. That's what you've been conditioned to think, behave, experience life. But that's not everything. That's just a part of the past. You have now the opportunity to become the best version of yourself and step out of that, to look at that tunnel mind from distance, to look at everything that you've known from distance, to rethink everything, to review everything, your values, your ideas, your mindset, your behaviors, and just learn to be more aligned to who you want to be, who you want to become, because you're coming closer to the best version of yourself indeed. And I'm going to give you an example now. Let's imagine that in the Western world, we all aim to live around 80 years of life. That's, based on my calculation, 2.5 billion seconds, which in my view represent 2.5 billion lives, 2.5 billion versions of ourselves. So a quick calculation, I lived over 50 years of life. That means that I already lived 1.5 billion seconds, 1.5 billion versions of myself, 1.5 billion lives. That's my life experience. And if I look back, there's been versions of myself when I was happy, others when I was really sad, versions when I performed really well, versions when I was kind of struggling, just to use nice words. I had versions of myself that have been completely confused and lost, and others that have been sharp and had clarity. That's the nature of life. Most likely you experience that too. But now let me share with you, looking back through all of these 1.5 billion versions of myself, let me tell you which one has been the best version of myself. I feel that my best version was when I felt peaceful, when I was present, when I was in congruence, when I was authentic, when I attended myself, when I embodied my life, when I embraced all parts of me. And I feel that you have that opportunity to get closer to the best version of yourself every second that goes by. Because remember, every second, as the time is ticking, is taking us all another second closer to the end of this journey. So stop beating yourself up. Stop striving to be like that, to have this, to go there, and just be in peace, in harmony, in presence, in conscious awareness with all parts of you, and present yourself to the world exactly as you are. I know it takes courage. It takes courage to be yourself. It takes courage to show the world who you really are. I can feel it right now, coming in front of the camera and talking to you. Well, talking to a mobile phone. But the reality is that it is frightening to really present ourselves to the world as we are, because we are not sure if we're going to be accepted, if we're going to be loved, if we're going to be appreciated, validated. So it is risky, but it's the best version of yourself. So embrace that. Give yourself the chance to connect with all your dormant resources, all your gifts, all your talents, all your untouched potential. And permit yourself then to open to joy and happiness and enjoy life from the best version of yourself every single second that is coming. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope it helped you to reflect a little bit around what you make of your life. And if you want to learn a little bit more, this is all connected with the relationship you have with yourself. I've recorded 3 different videos at the beginning, a couple of months back when I opened this YouTube channel. They are all focused on the relationship with yourself, and I think it's going to help you to explore this a little bit further. So go back to my channel and find those 3 episodes around the relationship with yourself, and let them guide you through life into the best version of yourself and into a better life. Thank you so much, and stay open.